Attention all anchors for ad-free listening, bonus episodes, exclusive merchandise, and the chance to join a future recording of the podcast. You can now sign up for the FFS Club. Just head to our website, f1forsuccess.com. I know you've had a long and varied career, but when you were a wee boy growing up, we know that money, or I know that money was a motivation for you, but what else? How the hell did you end up leaving the small island with a racing car and setting off with this vision to be, the mad Irish pirate, former team owner in Formula One, one of the biggest sports in the world?
I'd love to answer that because, I never really took time to think about it. It just evolved. It was a roller coaster. I cannot start to tell you how lucky I was in so many different aspects. My parents were dead against it. They wanted me to go and study. I did the Institute of Bankers, so I was able to study also at night. So I was able to start karting. The bank strike happened. I went to Jersey, started working at night and day, but Sunday was a day of rest in Jersey, and the only thing opened was the Bully Bay kart track. Derek Warwick will talk about that too. And another great Formula One driver. So that's where I started. I came back to Ireland, started in karting and won a championship. And it just went on from there to there to there, and got lucky pretty much all the way through. Yes, belief is a word I use extensively in my life. And I actually do mean that. Belief, if you really believe, if you believe you're well, if you believe you can do it, if you believe strongly enough that it's 100%, it's not wishy-washy, 85, 95% belief. It has to be completely committed belief of 100%. Then you have no idea what you'll be able to achieve in your own lifetime. I keep saying that to my kids, and I want them to tell their kids, because it has been such a factor to me, the believing that you can do it. And don't give yourself the argument, oh, we don't have the money, we haven't had this, we haven't. You look at the situation. Lewis Hamilton, look at the fight and the belief. Do I think that what he went through in his early life with his father, Anthony, and the mum and all of that respect, do you think that has added to the 7 titles that he's got? Absolutely. Do I think that what the Verstappens have done, and I know Jos drove for me, not an easy man by and large, but a real hard guy who believed so strongly in himself, and of course believed so strongly in Max. So that has been integrated. So do not think, like most people seem to think, you need to be a multi-billionaire or a millionaire or something like that to make it in Formula One. It's not true. You've got to believe and you've got to be lucky. Of course, it helps if you've got a big factor of money behind, but it's no criteria. If you look back over the world champions that we've seen in previous years, I think belief is a much bigger attribute to have than pockets of gold.
Well, I would add to that, EJ, if I look on my own journey, sitting in a village in the southwest of Scotland, it's not only belief, but it's focus and dedication. And one of the things that in watching my 15-year-old son go through karting and working our way towards moving into cars next year, they've got so many more options and choices. They've got so many things to do in a given day that I'm not sure they ever have the opportunity to get a little bit bored, as in there's nothing to do. And I always feel that having nothing to do is a sort of lack of imagination, but we had to have more of an imagination back in the day, because there wasn't electronic games, and there wasn't the social media interaction, and there wasn't the direct messaging. We set off to go and play in the fields. Now, I don't even know what the hell we were getting up to, just walking to burns and throwing stones at things and all that sort of stuff. But I think there was a simplicity of mind and thought that meant that when the week building up to a race, I was totally focused on the race. Monday night was cleaning the car. Tuesday night was getting the motorhome cleaned. Wednesday night would be getting my race suit and everything prepared. Thursday would be packing everything again. And then Friday I get picked up from school and we'd go down south for racing. Hours and hours on the motorway to turn up to do practice on Saturday, race Sunday, and then all those hours back again on a Sunday night, arriving in the middle of the night, sleeping in the motorhome outside the house, and then get up, get ready to go to school, and off you went again. And the cycle continued. And if I look at for my son Dayton, he flies in to the UK, everything's prepared for him. He flies back on a Sunday night, goes to bed and goes through his week here. So I wonder if having the focus and the hunger and the need is more difficult for the younger generation. And if you're in a more comfortable situation, then you've got more choices possibly. And then that maybe means that you're not as dedicated. On that very thought, if we look back on the San Marino Grand Prix, which was won by, of course, Max Verstappen, anyone who follows the sport closely will know that he did a 4-hour stint as part of his online racing team, where they were competing in a 24-hour race event. And he put in 4 hours and went to bed about midnight and got up the next day and focused on the Grand Prix. So he went from qualifying a Grand Prix car to racing in the virtual world, to sleeping, to then coming to the track and racing in the real world. His mind is just completely immersed in everything that's involved in making decisions to drive a race car.
Look, I saw that. I wouldn't have allowed it if I'd been the boss. If I'd been Christian, I would have said, no, I'm sorry, Max, you're here, you're being paid this kind of money to be representing the sponsors, the team, the sponsor, everybody associated with the suppliers, etc. And I think it's very hard to have total concentration. Certainly, I know this from myself because I don't have that. But Max must be a different kind of makeup, and I'm seeing the focus that he's got, like we talked about. He's in a different league, isn't he? You never had any doubt that he was going to win that race, or I had very little doubt that he was going to win the race, because he's so strong, not just in the battle, but in the application and putting the car. He's able to squeeze out that pole just when it looked as if it wasn't going to be his. He was able to squeeze out the win when you thought he might come under a lot of pressure. He is an immense character. But I would go back to what you originally said. And you talked about Dayton and the flying, this and that. But you can't blame him for that. You've allowed that to happen, or you've created that, and that's what's needed now. If you want him to go to school with his mum or here in Monaco and live with his mum, of course, that's what you have to do. But where I think the kids have difficulty compared to what you're talking about, throwing stones in the field or the barn and this. And we did all the same sort of things, skipping and playing football and doing silly and stupid things on bicycles and whatnot. That was before social media, and it was before the phones. What I ask everybody who's listening to this program, the next time they're possibly in a bus, a train, a plane, or whatever it is, or sitting anywhere, itemize maybe 20 people. And of that 20 people, you tell me how many are not on a phone. And I will promise you it'll be at least 18 will be on a phone and 2 possibly not. It's just ridiculous. And of those 2 that are possibly not, either they're too young to have a phone or too old to be able to use one. And so that's the problem I have. I'm now the latter
Is that
here.
you?
So I just feel I'm the same. I'm sucked in. What's the first thing I'll do when we're finished chatting? I look at the phone. Who's been contacting me? Where I've got to go to? Where do I go next? What am I going to do? Who wants to know about that? The kids are talking to me. I need to respond to them. It's just never ending. And I think the pressures, it's a different pressure to what you had, David. It's a different pressure to what I had. We never saw any of this kind of stuff. But I really shudder to think where the new order, the new world, AI coming, this, my God, it's just mind-blowing. The rush of technology is simply amazing.
Can you imagine AI? There'll be a virtual Eddie Jordan out there that has it's been studied you over the years so well, it'll know you better than you know yourself, and it'll be misquoting situations all over the world.
I want to die before that happens, because I tell you what, I don't want to take responsibility for all of those virtual idiots that's going to be around.